Hello, everyone. Um, Before I get into doing queries, I'm going to go through the CDC VAERS Data Dictionary, which tells you exactly what each field is. Every database you come across, and pretty much every company will have a data dictionary that describes the contents of the field you're looking at. So in the CDC database, I can do select star from data. 1 second here. And here I have the VAERS Data Use Guide, November 2020. So I Googled the VAERS Data Dictionary, and then I'm looking at the guide to interpreting VAERS data and then the VAERS Data Use Guide. So this is a PDF of all of the VAERS data that is in the VAERS tables. So we got data, symptoms, and vax, and it's so it's VAERSdata.csv, VAERSvax.csv, and VAERS symptoms. So the first thing you notice on so VAERS data, it appears that whenever you submit a VAERS identification or a VAERS event, each event gets this unique ID, VAERS_ID, with a type and which is its primary key, it appears. And then the received date, the date the report was received, the state, the age in years, the calculated age of patient in years, calculated age of patient in months, sex, report date, symptom text, which is died, the person died, date died, life-threatening illness, emergency room or doctor visit, ER visit. We can see that in here. Right here, this column, ER visit. Whether or not they were hospitalized, how many days they were hospitalized, prolongation of existing hospitalization, whether they had a disability, whether they recovered, and their vaccination date, and the onset date when the symptoms started to occur, and the number of days that the symptoms occurred, which is the onset date minus the vax date. So the number of days after they were vaccinated, when did the onset date occur? Then we have lab data, where the facility, where the vaccine was administered, even like the funds used to purchase, that's discontinued. What other medications they were taking, their current illnesses, their history of current illnesses, or their history of illnesses, the prior vaccination, split type, I'm not sure, manufacturer immunization project report number. I'm not sure what that is, but they do have this definition of terms used in data files, and I can look at that here. Form versions, date the form was completed, birth defects, doctor or other healthcare provider office clinic visit. So maybe it wasn't in a hospital, maybe it was in a clinic. Emergency room, ER_ED_ visit, emergency room / department or urgent care, and allergies. And then we have the VAERS Vax data. They have this, they're all connected by the same VAERS ID here. So you can have one VAERS data, it appears, and you can have one VAERS Vax field, but then you may have multiple symptoms. Now you could have two VAERS Vax fields. So you could have COVID-19 vaccine 1 and 2. Basically, you could have this person receive 2 vaccines, and then this is their VAERS ID. It probably puts in multiple VAERS ID per VAERS data that's in the database. So this is the remaining vaccine information from above. Here they have the vax date, and so this is what the vaccine had in it. not what the vaccine had in it, but what type of vaccine it was, whether it was like diphtheria or COVID-19. The vaccine manufacturer, the manufacturer's vaccine lot, the VaxDose series, the vaccination route. This is whether it's nasally or intravenously, which means it's injected into the bloodstream. The vaccination site and the vaccination name. And here we have the VAERS symptoms. So these are the symptoms that they have for VAERS ID. Symptom 1 looks like you can have 5 symptoms per event. Each row in the CSV will contain up to 5 med-DRA terms per VAERS ID. Thus, there could be multiple rows per VAERS ID. So for the symptoms, there could be multiple rows per VAERS ID. And then here, the VAERS Vax, it doesn't tell you whether there could be multiple rows per ID. And then finally, we have definitions of terms. Let me go and look for the split type. I'm not sure what that is. SPLT type. So life-threatening, if the vaccine recipient had a life-threatening event associated with the vaccination, emergency room and hospital. Recovered, vac state, relevant diagnostic test, vaccine administered at. I'm not sure what this one was. Oh, public, private, military, other, unknown. So that's where it was. There's even public, school, nursing home, workplace, other. So which type of funds were used? Public, private, is vaccine purchased with V_fund by. Current illness, then vaccine code. So this is all of the vaccines that they have that they report on. Vaccine manufacturer, vaccine, the lot number. So it's got a lot. Vac site. So the vaccination route can be intradermal, intramuscular, subcutaneous, intranasal, per oral, needle and syringe, needle-free jet injector device. Well, I have no idea what that is, or other. There's symptoms. Apparently, there's a med-DRA code book that the VAERS symptoms refers to. Please note that VAERS staff follow up on all serious and other selected adverse event reports to obtain additional medical laboratory and or autopsy records to help understand the concern raised. However, in general, coding terms in VAERS do not change based on the information received during the follow-up process. VAERS data should be used with caution, as numbers and conditions do not reflect data collected during follow-up. Note that the inclusion of events in VAERS data does not infer causality, of course. All right. So this is one long explanation of what exactly the VAERS data is. And so let's look at some queries here that will show us what First, first of all, they have something called the CDC Wonder search. So I was looking at that earlier. CDC Wonder VAERS search, which is the Vaccine Adverse Event Reporting System. And you have to agree to it. And then VAERS Data search. And what we can do is I can try to match what I'm seeing in the data with what the CDC website has and see how close I can get to what they have here. Just use it as a match to what I'm seeing to make sure that probably what I'm doing is correct or close to correct. They said it updates every Friday. So it's Thursday night. So tomorrow it's going to be updated, and I uploaded the data earlier in the week. So this should be interesting. So the first thing I'm going to do is do group results by symptoms. And actually, let me group results by vaccine type. And then what I'm going to do is look for myocarditis as the symptom. So let's see, scrolling down here. This website is very hard to use. You have to click these symptoms and then hit open. Like it doesn't do it automatically for you. It's probably made by PHP in the 90s or something. Maybe it's Java. I have no idea. So myocarditis is a symptom I want to look for. Myocarditis, here it is, the symptoms. We're grouping by the vaccine type. And vaccine characteristics are, so we have anthrax vaccine. I have no idea there was a vaccine against anthrax. Location, age, we have the age, 50 to 60, 50 to 59, 60 to 64, the gender. Yeah, let's just do everything with vaccine type and myocarditis selected and hit send. Processing request. Hold up. Did I share the correct screen? Let me make sure I did that. Okay. Yeah, I'm sharing the correct screen. So vaccine type in myocarditis is so seeing here the COVID-19 vaccine, there's 2,776 events reported, and there's 2,910 total events that were reported to VAERS according to the CDC data. And it looks like the COVID-19 vaccine is 95.4% of them, which is 2,776. However, what's weird is that they have this events reported and I have it as a percent of 2,910. And then at the bottom, they have a total of 3,412, which is 117%. So maybe it was null or blank. Oh no, there's unknown. Okay, so what I'm going to try to do is match one of these numbers that they have here. I'm not quite sure why there's 117.25. They have that many events reported, but that's the percent of 2,000 that they're saying the total events is 2,910. So it doesn't make sense why there's more events reported than the total number of events, unless there's something we don't know about. Yeah, that doesn't make any sense. The total should match the 2,910, and that should be 100%. Why is it showing as 117%? What does export do? Oh, it actually exports it in this text format. So what I'm going to try to do is match one of these numbers. Let me go ahead and do that. So VAERS 2, I have, so the problem is that I only have data for the back 3 years till 2020. I need to upload the rest of the data. But let me try to match this COVID-19 vaccine, since the COVID-19 vaccine came out in 2020, the end of 2020. They didn't start vaccinating people for it until the end of 2020. So we should be able to match this 2,776 events reported. So if we just do from data, where we can say symptom underscore text like myocarditis. We'll see how many we get. That the symptom text is like myocarditis. Yeah. It's taken a while to, it's got to filter all of the symptom text. That's 2,768. That's less than the events reported here with the COVID-19 vaccine. So what I need to check is whether there's multiple, could you have myocarditis symptoms twice in the symptoms table, or could you have several vaccines where you got myocarditis twice? So say you had the first series of COVID-19 and then got myocarditis, and then you had the second series of COVID-19 vaccination and then you got myocarditis. So this could be where the extra is coming from. So minus 2,768. So I am actually getting 8 less than they are, because it's 76 minus 68. That's only 8 rows that I'm missing. Let me do a join. Select star from Vax. It's VAERS ID. Select star from data. Let's left join on the symptoms. First, we need to find out what describes the symptom. Symptom 1, symptom 2, or symptom 3. So this VAERS ID here has 855030. So the symptom 1 is chills. The symptom 2 is dizziness. For the same VAERS ID, can you have 2 different symptoms that include myocarditis twice? That seems insane. This guy had a ton of symptoms. Look at that. Anthralgia, fibrin D dimer, myalgia, nausea, neuropathy peripheral. Like, golly, that's insane. Okay. So where are the extra rows that the CDC is showing coming from? Because I uploaded the data this week and I have there's got to be extra rows in here somewhere. data D on D dot VAERS ID. So we're going to find with the symptoms, we're going to look for each symptom. The CDC website could be grouping via the VAERS ID, or actually, you know what? They could just be searching for the symptom 1 through 5. They could be searching for myocarditis, where symptom one is like myocarditis. Let's see if that exists. Okay, symptom 1 is myocarditis. There's viral myocarditis and just myocarditis. That's 657. So what we're going to do is we're going to do this for each symptom. Symptom 2, symptom 3, symptom 4, and symptom 5. So basically, and then add an and here. I missed that. Oh, you know what? It needs to be an or. What am I thinking? So this needs to be an or, because we want to pull everything that has a symptom of myocarditis, any of those symptom columns. So this should do it. Let's see if we can match with the CDC Wonder. That's 2,611. So that means the same symptom is repeated. That's lower than the events reported. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to join the data table. D dot star from data. Join. Symptoms S on S dot VAERS ID. C dot VAERS ID. And I'm gonna keep the search for the symptoms being myocarditis. They're also grouping by the vaccine type, so there could be something with the grouping that I'm missing. So you can have multiple symptoms for the same VAERS ID. So I'm still getting 2,611, less than what they show for the COVID-19 vaccine. I haven't even added the vaccine type of COVID-19 yet. That's really weird. Let me go ahead and run this. Just regular. The symptom text is like myocarditis from the data. What do we get? What we could do is add this and here. So I wonder if this is like primary symptom. There's a lot of questions about this data, obviously. I wish you could do an export of the data here and then compare them to what you have in here. Like if the CDC were allow you to export, not export here, but export the detailed rows from the CDC Wonder database and connect it to this database, order by the VAERS ID, and then see which rows you're missing and what the difference is. 2,768. That is a lot of let's look at the average age in years. What is the average age for the data? It's myocarditis. So here I'm using an aggregate function called average. So it takes all of the age in years and takes the average where it matches the symptom text is like myocarditis. So that's 33.75. Let me look at this data again. Order by received date. Descending. Oh my gosh, what is the RECV date? Descending. Let me make sure I didn't import any new stuff, any new rows, because I was messing around. So February 4th is the earliest. You know what? We don't have I thought I had imported the data yesterday, but the download may have been different. So this is through February 4th. So since the last February 4th, there's been 8 more cases of myocarditis recorded in the past 2 weeks. It would be interesting to keep track of this data over time and see how it increases. Actually, you know what? We could calculate that. Basically, how many cases of myocarditis are reported every week since the beginning of 2020? The vaccine wasn't authorized for use until September. So we can look at anything that's greater than September 1st. What's the date of the first recorded case of myocarditis with the first vaccine? What is the first VAERS report date for the COVID-19 vaccine? That's an interesting thing to look at. Select star from data. I can use this thing I had earlier. what's the very first symptom that the CDC got? What did they know could have been an issue since the beginning? What was the very first thing that someone reported? So let me go ahead and run this, where the VAX type is COVID-19. So here we have something called a temporary table. This hashtag results. I need to go over this with you guys first. So the tempdb is a part of SQL Server, and it allows you to insert rows into the tempdb at will. So you can create a hashtag represents a temporary table, and it will create temporary tables, and you can select whatever rows you want into that temporary table. And then you can select from that temporary table where whatever you want. And you can, I actually use the temp table a lot at the company I work for. I used it once. We were looking at assessments. So a patient would come to us and we would do an assessment for them, or we would call them after they had like a therapy, and we would do assessments. And basically there were two questions in the assessments that were connected. So if you answered yes to this question, then the next question was required. So we were looking for incomplete assessments. And basically what I had to do is put all of the questions that were yes and no for the first question, and then the next question, if that question was yes and the next question wasn't answered, then that was an incomplete assessment. So I had to create like 2 or 3 temporary tables to test and connect the assessment questions in SQL. And it was very difficult to get that right. But temporary tables are very useful. They're a very useful tool for transforming data and getting the data right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do select star from results where the vax underscore type is not null. So I'm pulling this is a subquery. I'm pulling the first vax type from the vax table where the vax type is COVID-19, and the data VAERS ID is equal to the vax VAERS ID. So they're both connected, and that's the vax type. So basically there's 838,000 rows, but what we're going to do is say where the vax type is not null, which means that the vax type is COVID-19, because we're pulling all of the vax types we're pulling the row where the vax type is COVID-19. So where vax underscore type is not null. The vax underscore type, I need to put this needs to go in the results. Excuse me. This is loading the temp table, and then we're filtering the temp table. Yeah, so using subqueries, you can use temp tables as well, because if you need something from another row, that allows you to look at just a single row from another table. I could do a left join, maybe an inner join. So the difference between an inner and a left join is that a left join returns the row if it's null, and an inner join only returns the row if it has a matching row in another table. So there's 753,000 rows where the vax type is COVID-19. And you know what? We could actually test that. In the CDC VAERS VAERS data, we can actually just just group results by the vaccine type, and it should give us the total for that vaccine type. You're not allowed to select indexes such as ABC from the symptoms list. Oh, I need to close this. All right, let's go ahead and hit search, send. Let me refresh the page, continue. Okay. So the problem is that I have, oh, you know what? There's all here. Okay. Vaccine type, all symptoms, everything. I just want the results grouped by, and I could actually do that here as well. There should be more than what is actually in there. So that was actually 8 side effects for myocarditis over the last 2 weeks since February 4th. They have 8 more. But the total, so since February 4th, we could say select count star, which tells you count, get everything in the table and count it for me. And select the count of the vax underscore type. We already have that there. That's 753,000. So this is out of the total amount. Let me look at this here. Send. Let's see what it gives me. So all I'm doing is taking all the data and grouping the vaccine type. It should be give me the count by the vaccine type. So the COVID-19 vaccine has 788,000. 88,921 events reported in the database. But my data since the beginning of 2020, so what I can do is say count star, and I can do basically this left join here. I do select star from vax and select count star from vax. Group by vaccine type. Vax underscore type. So what I have to do is do count star and then vax underscore type from vax, grouping by the vax type. And you can even do order by count star descending. So we can look at the highest amount. So actually, you know what? I just got the exact same number. 788,921. Yeah, I just got the exact same number. I wonder if you can have different vaccines on the adverse events reactions. Something I'm doing in this is wrong. Let me do this, do a left join. So clearly here, they're just using the vax table. I think there's one vax per VAERS, but let's look at that. What we can actually do is select star from vax. So I did have the correct data. The data is up to date. I'm just missing 8 rows somewhere on that other myocarditis symptoms data. So there's 897,700 vax rows. And it looks like you can have, let's look at the vax type is equal to COVID-19. Actually got the same data as the CDC. That's good. Yep, 788,921. Let's join the symptoms on the vax. Left join symptoms. So the V, we gotta have the anonymizer. V.VAERS ID. Equal to the V.VAERS ID. And let's look at that. Let me stop execution here. This is taking a very long time. So this is kind of crazy. This VAERS ID of 855,017 has symptoms. Shouldn't the VAERS ID be the same? You know what? For each VAERS ID, it's pulling all of the symptoms. Let's look at the symptoms table real quick. Let me look at the data dictionary. Here it is. It would be interesting to see how much more. Yeah, the VAERS identification number, VAERS ID. VAERS ID. Let me do an inner join. That's my issue. This should, I think, work. I'm not exactly sure what's happening with this. Oh my gosh. See my error? V.VAERS ID equals V.VAERS ID. So it's pulling everything. S.VAERS ID. Oh my goodness. I actually never knew that could happen. Interesting. Okay, that's 1,206,000 rows. So each vaccine has so the total amount of vaccines in the VAERS database from Vax is 897,700. And if I interjoin the symptoms, then I get 1,206,604. So that means each vaccine has several symptom rows with it. Okay. Let me go back to the Wonder. So I got the 788,921 by just selecting the count star of the vax. The same thing could be happening. So let me add the myocarditis symptoms back. I bet the CDC has a staggered weekly. So what they're doing is on the 4th, so the 11th, they released all the data from the week of the 4th, ending the 4th. And then tomorrow, they're going to release all the data for the week ending the 11th. And then, so they're taking about a week thereabout to actually look at all the data they're receiving before they release it. Because I definitely downloaded, I can even show you what date I downloaded it. So in my downloads folder, right here, I have February 14th and February 15th is whenever I downloaded this. So that's literally Monday and Tuesday. So I think it's a staggered time frame that they're doing all of this. Let me look at myocarditis. Let me go back to the myocarditis thing and see what shows up. Because I think they're using a combination of both. Myocardial bridging. Wow. Okay. Send. So what we're going to do here, they may just be showing the vax and the symptoms. So what we're going to do is for the vax, we're going to, for each symptom, if myocarditis is a symptom, it should only show up as a symptom once. Let's do this. Where s dot symptom 1, 2, 3, and 4. I did that above. Let's do this. Control KU to uncomment out everything. So now it's running this query. There could be a that's 2,877. Oh, you know what? The vax type is like COVID-19. Okay, let's try that. Please work. $2,806. Let's change like COVID-19 to equal COVID-19 and see if that changes anything. It's probably not. So I'm getting 2,806. So some of these VAERS IDs appear twice. Maybe we could group by the VAERS ID and just select the top row. The VAX dose series is the second. Multiple organ dysfunction syndrome. So the VAERS ID is the same here. Let's do something. Let's do something interesting that will probably get us the good that will show us the structure of the database. Let's just pick out this VAERS ID 10422 104420. Do select star from VAX V. Inner join symptoms S on v.VAERS, just basically the same thing up here. And then so we're starting with the VAX as the starting table. And then inner join what's the other one? Data. v.VAERS ID equals v.VAERS ID. Where VAERS underscore ID is equal to this. Oh, wow. Not equal to that. This is going to be V because we're starting with the VAX. Okay. So this VAERS ID is in here 6 times. In the VAX 6 times. And what is different about these tables? So you see here how this is repeated. So there's one here. This is repeated 4 times. It's repeated twice. This actually looks like it's in the VAX table twice. VAERS equals to yeah, this is in the VAX table twice with the exact same information. I thought they said there couldn't be duplicates in the VAX table. Unless my data is wrong. You know what, guys? I think I'm going to re-import all my data when it comes out tomorrow. So what time does the CDC release this? Every Friday. So tomorrow I'm going to check this Wonder database and see if the events reported has increased or decreased. No, it increased. You can't delete it. See how many events are reported for the past week. So what I'm going to do, yeah, that's what I'm going to do. So I'm going to re-import all of my data for the past 3 years and make sure that it's new data from the vaccine from this? Vaccine type, myocarditis. Let me copy this. I'm wondering here, they don't have a vaccine type of null. And I'm wondering if they're not including that in the events reported. So basically where the vaccine type is null or was not filled out. Like someone filled out unknown vaccines, but they didn't actually fill out the blank. So I'm guessing the 2,910 total events are for all of these vaccines, but including the null amount, it's 3,412. I can see that. Yeah. Let me go back and close all. Vaccine type. Do send processing request. Let me paste this into a Word doc. And then I'm going to paste this into a Word doc as well. This is pretty huge. I want to paste the totals. So what the I may not be showing myocarditis. Maybe someone put in the date wrong. You can insert dates prior to today. When was the vaccine authorized? The first corona vaccine in America has been given to Sandra Lindsay, an ICU nurse in New York City, and that was December 14th, 2020. So if someone put a vax date for 2019 and 2020, whenever the vaccine didn't even exist, I wonder if this is including that, something like that. If there's actual validation for what someone is putting on the front end. So I wonder how much validation is actually, how much thought is given into validation of what the user is putting at the CDC. That's an interesting thought. What the heck is zoster vaccine? Okay, let's what we can do is we can change this to prior to December. We can make this so the date is 2020, 2021, and 2022. What does this give us? Report received dates. That doesn't actually do anything. Okay. 2020, 2021, and 2022. Let's see if we get the same amount as what I had before. $782,597. So the CDC doesn't actually have any validation on the front end for what when the vaccine was you know what, are they we gotta do unknowns as well. Hold up. So there's the death date, Unverse vaccination report received. That actually doesn't have date report completed. Let me do close all here. Oh man. So 897,700. So I did the 3 years, and that was the report completed. The date report received 2020, 2021, and 2022 is the data that I have. So that is, let me do a new query and just do select count star from data and see what amount I get. $838,224. Select count star from Vax. 897,700. I think what the CDC is doing is using this Vax table as a as the base table, and then joining data and joining symptoms. So it's vaccine adverse events reporting system. So the vaccine is the base. That's where they're starting from. So someone could just enter a vaccine and there could be no data attached to it, which is crazy to think about. Basically, the CDC is saying our data sucks. 897,700. That's what I got here, right? $897,700. Boom and boom. So my data is right, and it's right on. Okay, so then the COVID-19 vaccine is what I had here. Group by the Vax, select count star, Vax underscore type from Vax, group by the Vax, and then order by Vax type descending. So this is going to actually probably match this data exactly. The order by, oh, just order. Oh gosh. And ascending is the Vax type, excuse me. Six Vax F. Search for that. There it is. Okay. So they actually have the vaccine name in here. The Vax name may be what they're grouping by. Yeah, Vax name. So I can actually find what so the Vax type. Let's do Vax name. Adenovirus type 4 and 7, 48. Okay. This is exactly. So here is what's interesting is that it looks like they're doing another join, and they're grouping these by COVID-19. So they're taking the total of all three of those and COVID-19 unknown. So the total of all three of these should be 788,921. What's interesting is where they're grouping the vaccine name versus the vaccine type. What they could be doing is doing group by a vax type and then the vax name. Or excuse me. Yeah, grouping by the vax type and then the vax name. Maybe not. But we can do the vax type too. What we could do to get exactly what they're doing. It's interesting that they're grouping the COVID-19 vaccine all together rather than separating them out. I don't know why that is. Because you have the diphtheria and tetanus toxoids and pertussis vaccine. These all look very similar. Because Janssen, you would think they would do COVID-19 mRNA, COVID-19 mRNA, then COVID-19, whatever the Johnson & Johnson vaccine is, or COVID-19 unknown. It's interesting that the COVID-19 is the only one with unknown in it. Others have no brand name. But let me go ahead and just show you guys that these four probably add up to the 788,921. You know what? I don't even have to show you. I can just group by the vax type. I'll show you. Vax name doesn't show up anywhere. Thank you for that. Where's COVID-19 in here? There it is, 788,921. Okay, so I have the same data as them. So start with the vaccine and then probably go to the VAERS data. So let's do from vax and then interjoin. Not symptoms. Let's join the data. Let's see if data is in there twice. I'm really curious. See that? I did an inner join on the data. Unknown manufacturer. There's two different vax lots. Oh, you know what? There's the vax series. That's the only difference between these. Even the vax type is unknown. And the vaccine is not specified. Vaccine is Arkansas. Who the heck was this? They were vaccinated twice. This was in January of 2020. So you can have multiple vaccines per VAERS ID. And you can have multiple symptoms per VAERS ID. But I think you can only have one data. So and to check that, what we can do is say count star VAERS underscore ID from data group by the VAERS underscore ID. And then we can say having count star greater than 1. And there's none of these that have a count star greater than 1. So what I can literally do is just switch this from vax to vax v, and we have multiple vaccines for the same VAERS ID, and we can switch this to symptoms, and we can have multiple symptoms for the same VAERS ID. That dude has 9. But let me try this other number where it was. Let me keep the dates the same and do myocarditis and see if that's the same as well. Where are the symptoms? There they are. Myocarditis for these 3 years. If I get the same amount, that means that a date report received would have to be in 2019 for the COVID-19 vaccine for myocarditis, but that doesn't make any sense. Yeah, it's still 2,776. So it appears that the VAX table is correct. You know what? Someone could have misspelled myocarditis. The database could be including the symptom, even though the symptom text is misspelled. What happens if we just do myocard here? Give me something good. 3,635. Like myocard. So there's myocardial. What if I do that? So the problem with that is that I think the word has to match exactly. That's the only way. Yeah, this is so weird. I don't know what I need to add to get this number, 2,776 exactly. Let's do unknown and see what we get. Let's myocarditis. Look at that. 2,779. That's 3 more. What if I do I here? I wonder if that would give me exactly. They're just missing the S. Oh my goodness, that's hilarious. It's exactly the same. 2,776. I got it. The thing is that I think they were looking for a shortened version of the word in the symptoms. Huh. I actually figured it out. But the weird thing is this 2,584 events, total events. So this was for 2020. You know what? Um, the null and the unknown. Let's look where symptom text is null. No, it wouldn't be as null. So I got what they had here using this, like myocarditis without the S at the end. But what I need to get now is where are they getting these 2,584 total events? So their symptoms, which means we can do, what did I do before? Like this. So let's just take the symptoms and it's really just how the CDC interprets the data is the issue. I can't believe I got the same from using myocarditis. That's hilarious. Let me erase this and then just do select count star from this. And that's 2,611. How do we get that 2584 though? Let's change to myocarditis again. Let's see what we get. That should give us more though. But let's do it just for ha-has. It's still 2,611. It's the same. Um, Well, that's interesting. I can't believe I got what they got in there whenever I switched it to myocarditis. So let's unknown vaccines. What I need to look at is the vaccine type is null or unknown. So what we can do is say select star from vax, and that is like 897,700. Okay. Now, where was I going with this? Where the vax type is like COVID-19. $788,921. And then let me start from the data table. So the events, I bet the events is the count from the data table. No, that's this. The data table can't have duplicates, but the vax can have duplicates and the symptoms. So this events reported though match the data table exactly, but I could be doing it wrong here. What's interesting, oh man, this is gonna drive me crazy. But the data I know I have is right. So yeah, I'm gonna have to study this data a lot and figure out what's going on with it and why these 2,584 total events, like what are they using for that? Helpful results. What's that? A caveats heading. Where's that? Rows with 0 events reported are hidden. Use quick options above to show 0 rows. Oh, okay. Yeah, I don't care about that. Oh, you can have a row number too. That's sweet of them. You can sort by percent, descending. Events reported. Yeah. It's so weird to me why this is 2,584 total events. What is it considering an event? Is that the count of the VAERS ID? Let's do that. So distinct is just I pulled all the distinct values for this column. I actually think I had it right on this one. I was using the full word myocarditis. Yeah, I'm not sure what to think of this. It's going to involve a lot of thinking and figuring out. All right. I will see you guys later. Goodbye.